Okay, it's 8 o'clock in the morning because it's nice and cool. It's about 73 degrees. And I'm going to be doing the rear brake jobs on this Honda Accord 2009. And the first thing I'm going to do is loosen those bolts on the back tire before I can do the rest of the work. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is make sure the emergency brake isn't on. And I'm going to release the brake fluid cap so that the brake fluid can move as needed. I got these ramps so that if it tries to back out, it'll have trouble backing out. I got a jack stand and my jack. I'll probably put more jacks under there or something. I got more that I could put under there. Hold on. Okay, I put my wood and my ramp under there to support it as well. Now it's got multiple places to support. First thing we do is there's 2 bolts on this caliper on the back. They're supposedly 12 millimeters. These are really worn and they look like they've never been taken off. This car's got 89,000 miles on it. Okay, 12 millimeter nuts, and with my breaker bar I had no problems getting it off, even though they look like they've never been taken off. The pads themselves look pretty bad. I'm not going to change out the rotor since this is probably the first time this has ever happened. And I'm going to have to put that caliper on something so that it doesn't mess up this hose here. Alright, so there's the old pads. New pads. The old pads didn't look that bad actually. I had 1 spring. There should be 2, I think. I might have to get another set of springs. These clips come right out. They're pretty old and rusty. Let me get them out. Might need a screwdriver. So I got the Alebono brake pads and they come with extra springs, so that's good. Okay, I got the new one in. I tapped it with the screwdriver to get it in. I'm going to make sure that that little clip isn't rubbing against the rotor. It's in there nice and solid. Now I got to do the top. See, the top is still on there. Basically just shove a screwdriver in there and you can pull it down. Okay, I got my brake cleaner here, so if I get any fingerprints on the brake pads themselves, I can remove them. I got my brake lube. It's Molly brake lube that comes with the kit, and all I'm going to do with that is put it on the back side of these pads. This is the one for this one. It's got the noise clip on the back, and it's pretty easy to tell which one goes where. If you don't know, you could always look at the old one and compare them. In fact, you should just compare them before you do this. They look like they're the same size. This thing actually has a lot of meat on it. I'm surprised. But that's what it looks like. I'm going to put this brake lube on here and on the fingers so that it has a nice smooth transition. So you can see I put it on the metal tab in the back and on the 2 ends of the fingers. Don't put any on the material that's for the brake at all. And don't get your fingerprints all over it like I see other people do. If you do, clean it with the brake pad fluid. Okay, I got it in there. Now, I did spray it with some... And there's the 2 pins. I'm going to clean them off with a paper towel and then I'll lube them. Okay, so these are the caliper pins that I told you about. I'll clean it with the paper towel, then I'll use this SIL-GLYDE brake lubricant that I might put in the description below. I use this every time I do brake jobs. It's better than those little packets. I can't stand those little packets. So I'm going to do that. I'll clean them off and put them back in. They're really easy to put back in. I did notice that the brake pad fell out. And there they are back in there. You can see them. They just pull out. There's no twisting or anything like that. I'll put the brake pad back in and I'll start the next pad. So that's what they look like. I only had one when I got in there. I'm surprised. I've never had trouble with those springs before. Okay, on newer cars, this isn't exactly new. It's a 2009 Honda Accord. But there's the piston. You don't want to push that in with a C-clamp. You want to use something like this. Find the right die to fit in there and you turn it. You don't push it. It pushes, but it turns as well. Now you see the rubber boot? That gets really deteriorated. You don't want to squunch that or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it with some silicone before I do this. And here's the silicone I'm going to use. I'll see if I could just put it up there for you. Okay, so I wetted it so that it has some traction when I turn that. I don't want it all dried up and tearing up that boot. This number 7 die looks like it'll work okay. I'm going to try this. And you turn it clockwise. Okay, without this piston pushing tool that I got from Maddox and Harbor Freight, you're not getting that piston on. I had to use a lot of strength to get that piston to turn clockwise. I kept applying lube to the rubber to make sure that it didn't kink, and I got it on, but it was really tight. You could see where the springs are here that were missing on the original, but I got it in there. I had to use pliers to hold on to this nut here as I turned it. And you turn it clockwise to get the piston to go in. I also sprayed some lube on those rubber boots so that they get at least some kind of lubrication. Another one where there's only one clip in there. I don't know where the other clip went or if they even put it in. This is OEM brake job probably. Okay, this is the other side. I cleaned and lubed the slides. This one doesn't really bounce as much as this one. Maybe it's the way it's supposed to be, but it does bounce some. The hardest part of this whole thing is getting that tire off. It was like welded in there. Just getting the tire off. Now I'm going to start clamping down on this, turning it clockwise to get that piston to go in. I'm going to hit this with some silicone first, though, to get it nice and lubed. It's heavy-duty silicone. I'm just going to spray it around it. You don't want that kinking up or you could tear the boot. And I sprayed this a little bit too as well if you didn't know. Alright, that looks good. This piston, like the other one, is really tough, so I have my pipe wrench on there to turn it. You really need the extra leverage. It'd really be nice if somebody was holding this while I did this, but it's not going to happen today. Okay, I got the second tire and brakes back on. I'll tell you what, there's something with this car with jacks. I don't know if it's really heavy or not, but this Honda Accord 2009, my jacks had a heck of a time lifting this car up. And I have some good jacks. Don't forget that you have to put your brake fluid cap back on. That's why it's good to leave the hood open when you're doing this. And the things that I think you really need for this job is one of these or something like it to move that piston. That piston was extremely hard to move. I even had to use a pipe wrench to help turn the piston. And I also use I always have my pipe right there, my iron pipe. I use that, and it comes in it comes in handy. You really need that. And don't forget, you have to lube those slides and the back of the brake pads too as well. But this is how I brake pads on a Honda Accord 2009. Also, I used Alebono brake pads. As Scotty Kilmer says, they're the best, so I got them. And I got them on Amazon, and I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, after you get the brakes put in, you go for a test drive. You want to brake in the new brake pads. perform a series of moderate to aggressive stops from various speeds, allowing the brakes to cool down between the applications, ensuring an even transfer of pad material to the rotors. Get the vehicle up to 50 miles an hour on a safe road and no one else around you. Apply the brakes firm. Rapidly slow the vehicle to about 10 to 15 miles an hour for about 3 to 5 seconds. Release the brakes. Do not lock up the brakes during the process. Repeat 2 or more times. So basically they want you to apply the brakes for a period after you get the brake pads on, but not really stop the car, just slow it down, go at 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, then slowly slow the car down without stopping, then let it cool off and continue that over and over until you think it's appropriate. I would think maybe like a couple of minutes, about 3 or 5 minutes.